In today's video, I'm sharing with you 10 things that I've stopped buying ever since I started tracking my expenses back in 2014. Now, the primary reason that I wanted to make this video was that I think there are so many purchases that are just not necessary and just end up cluttering our financial lives. If you're able to get rid of some wasteful purchases, I think it's going to help free up a lot of cash that then you can save, invest, or even use for vacation. Even the smallest differences can add up to a lot of cash, so that's what I wanted to illustrate today. Starting with the first thing that I've stopped buying, and that is staying at Airbnbs. So Airbnbs used to be the hottest and coolest ways to take your vacations. And back in 2016 to 2017, I actually took a solo trip to Europe and I exclusively stayed in Airbnbs for the entire 3 weeks that I was there. Another thing that I stopped buying these days are, well, books. This probably sounds hypocritical of me given the fact that there are a bunch of books on the bookshelf behind me, but I really stopped buying that many physical books a while ago. Now, don't get me wrong, I used to buy a lot of books. I liked learning and understanding new concepts, but sometimes I would buy 3 books in a week. I would maybe read 10 pages of each book, and I would promise myself that I would read more eventually, but that just never happened. But this next thing that I stopped buying doesn't have to do anything with clutter, but it has to do everything with overpaying, and that's actually changing my car insurance. I personally moved into the city of San Francisco a couple of years ago, and since then, the number of miles that I drive on a yearly basis has gone from 12,000 to 15,000 miles per year. According to a 2019 study, Americans are overpaying for insurance by nearly $37 billion a year. And that study was conducted 6 years ago. So I just have to imagine that these days that figure has probably ballooned. And according to the article, Americans were overpaying for auto insurance by an average of $330 per year back then. The fourth thing on today's list is really simple. It's clothing just for one specific occasion. I don't know how many of you guys are watching are women, but I find that a lot of my female friends run into this problem, and I was even victim to this same phenomenon. Sometimes I would have a special event coming up and I wanted to look my best, so I would buy an outfit just for that occasion, and oftentimes I wouldn't wear that outfit ever again. The next thing on my list that I stopped buying is premium TV or cable TV. At one point in the past few years, I bought YouTube TV, which was $52.99 per month with promotional pricing. And my main purpose was to watch live sports on YouTube TV. But over time, the service got way more expensive, and then they had a price hike to $82.99 at the beginning of this year, which led me to cancel it altogether when I got this email. The next biggest item on this list, which I think is really important, and I think more people should be thinking about this on a daily basis, is investing in things that you do not understand. I think many people are guilty of this. They may hear about an investment opportunity from a friend or a stock pick from a friend and think, oh man, I should probably go in on that too, without even doing any research or any due diligence. Now, while this is not something that I've stopped buying per se, it's something that I've stopped putting my money into, which is I don't invest in things that I don't understand. If you're investing your money into something, and let's say it's a mutual fund or a bank account or a treasury bond, you really just want to make sure you know what you're investing into. Like if you buy into a mutual fund, you should know what that mutual fund is holding, what types of stocks are in there, what the risk profile looks like, and basically if your money is being put to work for you in the way that you want it to. A new thing that I stopped buying recently is also buying food in bulk. Now, usually you would think that buying food in bulk would save you money, and generally that is the case, especially if you can finish all the food. But here's the thing, I was buying multiple cartons of milk at the same time from Costco. I was buying 24 eggs at a time. I was buying meat. And oftentimes, I'm just not enough of a person with enough of an appetite to finish all of the food before it goes bad. So the idea here is that if you want to save some money, of course, you know you can shop in bulk to save money, but you really want to make sure you're able to actually finish that food. The next thing I stopped buying are items on sale. Now, I know that this sounds counterintuitive, but it's something that I want you to be very cautious of. Sometimes a sale that happens frequently is just a reason that the merchant is trying to get you to buy something. For example, there's a Gap store near my place in San Francisco, and the one thing I always notice is that there's a sale sign that is displayed at the entrance of the store all the time. And one exception we should talk about is the end of year Q4 Black Friday sales. I find that those sales are actually worth looking at only if you had an item in mind that you were thinking of buying that you in the long run. All right, the next thing that was a rage during the pandemic was to pay for subscription services that were basically helping you make video calls. So the thing that I've stopped paying for was a Zoom subscription, and at some point I was paying for Zoom Premium, which was $17 a month in order to just not have my video call end after 40 minutes. Since then, I've realized that video meeting software, the ones that are out there, it's become so commoditized. There's Google Meet, there's Microsoft Teams, There's Discord, and I think even Slack these days has its own video meeting interface as well. So the next thing I stopped buying altogether were extended warranties. You usually may be approached to buy an extended warranty when you're buying some sort of electronic. So for example, if you're at Costco, Best Buy, or something like that, and you're buying a laptop or TV, sometimes they might say like, oh, do you want to buy a 3-year extended warranty for this product? It's going to cost you X amount.